Even if you understand how damage works in TFT, you can still lose fights. And most of the times, it's not because your items are bad, it's because you're prioritizing the wrong items. Most fights are decided by one question: can you kill their main tank? If you can't break through their front line, nothing else matters. Hi, I'm Deepe, and I've been coaching in gaming for over 10 years, and I've previously been rank 1 across multiple sets. Today, we're applying damage theory to real itemization decisions. The goal is simple: how do we kill their main tank as quickly and as consistently as possible? If you solve that problem, you'll be building challenger level boards in no time. So, item priority. The first thing you must understand: Shred and Sunder are not optional. They're mandatory in every single game. Shred reduces magic resist and Sunder reduces armor, and they generally reduce it by 30%. Now here's why it's mandatory to have. When tanks stack their armor and magic resist through items like Gargoyle Stoneplate, Bramble Vest, and Dragon's Claw, or traits and abilities that give them resistances, these defensive stats start getting crazy high. When resistances are high, reducing them by 30% can be equivalent or more than a 25% damage increase for your entire team. Not just one unit, your entire team's damage. So if you're playing an AD comp, you need Sunder, either in the form of Last Whisper or Even Shroud. If you're playing AP, you need Shred, either in the form of Void Staff or Ionic Spark. If you don't build this, you're basically trying to punch through a brick wall with your bare fist. Make one of these as early as possible, ideally by stage 4 and definitely by stage 5. Guaranteeing it early is almost always better. The next thing we need to talk about is anti-heal, otherwise known as wound. Healing in TFT is absurd. In other games, if a tank is healing, you try to kill their healer as quickly as possible. Well, in TFT, you just cut their healing by 33%. In every set, there's always some tank unit that heals a ton, either through their own ability, like Garen and Swain in set 16, or through items like Hextech Gunblade and Spirit Visage, and sometimes even through traits. If we cut their healing by 33%, we reduce their overall effective HP. These items are called Deepabis because you need to build at least one of these anti-heal items for every single game of TFT. You don't need to build all 3, just to be clear. Also, as an added bonus from building these items, you also get a burn effect with 1% true damage with these anti-heal items, which is a great added bonus. Anti-heal, Shred, and Sunder are not suggested items. They're mandatory. They let your carry actually play the game and cut through the main tank faster. They're bis for your team. They're Deepabis. Now, aside from the must-build utility items we just talked about, let's talk about item economy and balancing frontline and backline items. As a general rule of thumb, you want to fully itemize one main carry and one main tank before moving on to build for your secondary carry. Too many players build 4 backline items split across 2 carries with only 2 real items on their main tank. Remember from our last video, damage scales multiplicatively, but so do tank stats. Armor, magic resist, and damage reduction all multiply with HP. When you fully itemize your main tank, you're not just making them tankier, you're buying more time for your carry to do more damage. If your frontline lives longer, your carry gets more casts, more autos, and more damage overall. So don't just stack damage. Use the power of multiplicative stats for both damage and tanking. Now here's an important insight into our Deepabis items like Shred, Sunder, and Anti-Heal. The power in these items come from the utility it provides for your entire team, not the raw individual stats it provides for the carrier. So a Last Whisper has less good individual stats than a Kraken's Fury, for example. So in the late game, if you have an overflow of items after you have your 3-item main tank and your 3-item carry, these utility items often move off your primary carry or main tank and go onto your secondary carry. This is an optimization. It's not mandatory early, but it's really, really important late game. Winning fights are not about the perfect items. They're about solving the fundamental question: how do I kill their main tank? If you can consistently kill their main tank first, the rest of the board falls like flies. Build your items for that and use the power of multiplicative scaling in your favor. If you haven't watched part 1 on how damage works in TFT, start there. These videos go over the fundamentals that apply to every set, every patch, regardless of balance changes. For up-to-date builds, comp guides, and patch-specific adjustments, everything is updated on my new site, tftgameplan.com. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.